You are watching the WD Broadcasting Network, your home for racing highlights, iRacing broadcast, commentary, and more. But here comes Jeremiah Woods. He wants to win in the Street Stock Showdown. He's hungry to get up to the front. If you are a fan of short track racing, the WD Broadcasting Network is your home for racing content in real life and on the sim. Follow the WD Broadcasting Network on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to hit that red subscribe button on YouTube to never miss an upload. Top spot away, Terzak once again into the back bumper. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the WD Broadcasting Network, and welcome back to the 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series. I am once again joined with my co-host for this season, Cody Geyer. Cody, we just got back from Winchester yesterday. Boy, did we see a show.
Oh yeah, sprint cars at Winchester. There's nothing like it. And yesterday we were treated to an exciting 40 laps in the Tom Bigelow Showdown. And at the end of the day, we have a new first-time winner, and it's our current points leader here in the 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series, Jackson Masinko, picking up his first career win.
Yeah, he qualified, as Noah Longyear will tell you, on the front row, and was patient behind Davey Hamilton, took the lead roughly 25 laps into the race. I mean, it was a pretty good race between them two, and then once Masinko got past, it was lights out, see you, bye. There was a caution late, but he was able to hold off on that final restart, but the BHR 24 looked pretty comparable to what we've seen in the Sim Series, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and it's been talked about for really the past couple years, where for Jackson it wasn't a matter of if he was going to win a race, but a matter of when. And on the 500 Sprint Cast, Zach and I were talking about maybe Anderson for the Glen Nibel Classic to open the season, and he's been strong there, had some strong little 500 runs, and turns out it was another track that he ran well at, Winchester, and now he's a winner with the 500 Sprint Car Tour.
He is a winner with the 500 Sprint Car Tour. Let's talk to our winner in the 500 Sprint Car Tour, Jackson Masinko, our current points leader as well. Jackson, what is it like to, first off, win at Winchester, and second off, win in the 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series? Or 500 Sprint Car Tour, wow.
Well, it's special to win in both. It's special to win in the Sim Series and in real life. No, it is really cool. It's really cool. Regardless, just to win at Winchester, to be on the list of open wheel, whether it be midgets, crown cars, or just sprint cars, to be on that list of guys that have won at Winchester in an open wheel car is really cool. That place takes a lot of guts to run at. You have to be almost fearless, and yeah, it's really cool. It's really nice to get our first win with the Sprint Car Tour. It felt like it had been coming for a while, and finally, I don't feel like it was a monkey off our back, but we can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that we got the first one, and we can chase after number two now.
And we'll talk about during the race, you were able to pass Davey Hamilton for the lead just before halfway, but they're on that. They had that one yellow with 9 laps to go, and Hamilton was right on your tail the rest of the race. Just what was going through your mind in those final laps and holding him off?
Well, there was a couple things. When that caution comes out, your initial instinct is like, God, you're kidding me? You couldn't have gone green, but you have to have a really quick reset mentally and think about just how you're going to plan for the restart. And I knew my car's characteristics from just the whole run before, and I had passed Davey, so I didn't know exactly what his car was doing, but I figured he was still quite a bit free, which is what he had shown up until I had passed him. So the thought process really was try and get a clean start out of the zone and down the front straightaway and slide up in front of him. I figured I was starting to get tight in 1 and 2, in the center, and I figured I can't have him try to roll my outside. I needed to be the one up top because in 3 and 4, I was really strong up top. So at worst case scenario in my mind, we would be going down the back straightaway and he'd be drag racing me to my inside, but I thought I'd be able to roll 3 and 4 and carry my momentum down and still clear. So that was kind of what I had planned going through my mind. And if you watch the replay, I think that's almost what would have happened, but he ended up getting pretty free in the center of 1 and 2, and that killed his exit, and that allowed me just to go on my way. And then after that, I think the broadcast, the view from the broadcast at Winchester makes it a little difficult. It really does look like he's on my inside out of those corners, but he never was. So while I felt the pressure, don't get me wrong, of him being inside of me, I never really felt like I never felt like I was put in a position where I really, really needed to overdrive the car and go over 100%.
And now it's still early in the 500 Sprint Car Tour season, but top 5 at Anderson, a win at Winchester, it's got to set you up as one of the favorites for the championship at the end of the season.
Well, we'll see. Like you said, it's still early. And while I think there's quite a few tracks that we're really strong at, Salem being one of them, and then, obviously Anderson, there's quite a few tracks that we've struggled at. These flatter sweeping tracks like Berlin and Toledo, which we're hoping gets rescheduled, like those have been more of a struggle for myself and the BHR team. So hopefully we can, get out of those. Going into every race, you have to have a realistic goal, and the goal is always to win, but you have to have a realistic outcome, which at those tracks is, go out and really just, in my mind, get a podium, because we've struggled there, and a lot of other guys have been significantly better than us at, a track like Berlin. But when it comes to Anderson, Salem, especially next year, and I think, or this year, and even Owasso, like it's, we've got to make up we've got to make those count, because I think we can be really competitive there. I think Jennerstown coming up in a couple weeks will be really cool. Almost a clean slate for everybody, almost a level playing field. And I think that makes it really exciting. You're going to go into that race with a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting conclusion to the 2026 season. One thing I heard you talking about with the final couple laps at Winchester, just how technical you guys are able to be with how fast you guys are going and how crazy the sprint cars at Winchester is. I mean, you guys are going through those corners in the blink of an eye, and you're making technical moves that you have to make in just a matter of seconds down the straightaway. And it's really crazy, because I was watching down in turns 3 and 4, you driving it into the corner down into 3 in practice, and you're able to wheel that thing around, and you look fast all day long. So it was no shocker to see you in victory lane later in the day. But heading into tonight, you're the points leader in the Sim Series, and right now you're quick time. Do you have the momentum? Is the ball rolling in your direction?
I think so. We've got some really good guys. They're going to be tough to beat. Specifically, you think about Catalone and Jeff Stanton, but I think though I hadn't actually raced this track or run this track before today, it actually plays into my favor really nicely. I think just my driving style. So far, I've gotten along with it really well, but we haven't, done a 50-lap race yet with a bunch of other cars on the track. So we'll see how that ends up going. But I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully I can keep this championship lead throughout this race and throughout the rest of the season. But I know Stanton, Catalone, and these other competitors are going to be breathing down my necks for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting night, and I'll let you get back to qualifying, because you're about to go in a minute. I know I said I wouldn't step on your qualifying time, but I'm about to here, so I'll let you get back with your teammate Noah Longyear, and hopefully we can talk to you later on this evening.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Cody, it was crazy to me. I know I said it before, but just how methodical these drivers are able to be at such a high speed, and how technical they're able to think. That was the one takeaway I had. And like Jackson said, the rest of this 2026 season for the Sprint Car Tour is going to be one that we're not going to want to miss.
Yeah, and it starts back up here in a couple of weeks at Jennerstown. the first ever appearance for the 500 Sprint Car Tour at Jennerstown. I'm looking forward to that one, probably even more than every other race in the season, just because it being a new track on the schedule. But as you go look further into the schedule, you have Owasso Speedway. That was a good fun race last year. We go back for a second year. Berlin, a staple on the schedule, always puts on a great show. Salem, another track similar to Winchester for the Joe James Pat O'Connor Memorial, one of the longest running open wheel races in the world. I believe the only open wheel race that's gone on longer is the Indianapolis 500. But then we go to Berlin on August 28th, and then another trip to Anderson for the Tony Elliott Classic, and IRP to end the season. And then a couple weeks ago, Toledo did get postponed. That looks to there's a rescheduled date in the works, so hopefully that is ready to be announced soon and you can get back to Toledo.
Yeah, I'm really hoping I can get back to Toledo. I was really looking forward to that race, and unfortunately it did not get to happen. I'm glad they called it before I made the trip, but like you said, unfortunate it did not get to happen. But here tonight at Oswego, it's going to be a tight one in qualifying. We're not going to have anybody in a last chance race, where I don't think we're going to have to worry about anything there. But looking at the practice times, everybody's so close, and this race is going to be a very tight one, as this track is very tough.
Yeah, and judging from the Discord chat in the days leading up to tonight's race, it looks like it could be very much a wild card race. I know quite a few drivers never raced here before. And Jackson himself had to buy the track this morning. But one person this track does play into the hands of, it's the home track hero here on the sim, Zach Catalone, winners of 2 of the last 3 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series races. And so far, he's leading the way in qualifying.
Yeah, he's won the last 2 races. He's had 3 top 10 finishes or 3 top 5 finishes in his 3 starts. And right now, quick time, a 17:005. Masenko's second quick, not too far behind. But looking back behind them, the field does trickle down a little bit, but everybody in the top 5 pretty close. Going to be an exciting race at the front. Sabin Bybent with some pretty good speed in the 98 as well.
Yeah, and I know you set up the fit setups for the 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series, and judging from some of the videos you sent during the week, it looks like Oswego just might be the toughest track on the schedule. You know, you yourself left the facility in turn 3 earlier this week, and there's a pretty gnarly bump on the start-finish line.
Yeah, if you were looking tonight just before the race, there was a screenshot of Zach Catalone's 79. I don't know if they were in a practice race, if the official series goes to Oswego this week, but there was a screenshot of the 79 all the way up in the air, all 4 tires off the ground on the bump on the front straightaway, and it's definitely going to be a track where I think we'll see both grooves come into play, but the bottom lane definitely the preferred groove. But right here watching Jeffrey Stanton, he's loose up off the bottom. I think if you're a car on the outside, you can maybe pin the car on the bottom and roll some of that momentum. As Stanton goes 5th quick, he's got 1 more lap to improve.
Yeah, and last week at Nashville Fairgrounds, we went caution-free. Zach Catalone able to pick up the win there, but this week here at Oswego, it might be a different story. Potentially one of the toughest tracks we go to this season. And after tonight, we're halfway through the season, so business will be picking up even more as we go into the future weeks.
Yeah, Christian Peterson, next driver to qualify this season. He's got 1 top 5 finish, 3 top 10s. He currently sits in the 6th position in the point standings. Peterson, he's done pretty good in the Leave the Pack iRacing League. He's picked up a couple wins. Still looking for that first one in the sprint cars as he jumps up and down the front straightaway. 7th quick on that lap there. I think he's going to try maybe 1 more, but actually I think that was his white flag lap there. So Peterson going to be done. I think everybody's qualified. Catalone going to be our fast qualifier. He and Masenko, the only cars in the 16-second bracket.
Yeah, just behind them, Andrew Bogus qualifying third, had a strong run last week, finished there in third. So top three from last week, qualifying top three this week. Saban Bybent, second start in the 500 Tour Sim Series. He qualifies fourth. And Jeffrey Stanton rounding out the top five.
Yeah, the 98 of Bybet. He had a good run last week at the fairgrounds. Ended up finishing in the 6th spot, but had a good qualifying effort in the 5th position. Improves by 1 this week. I'm thinking we're going to see him have a good run here tonight. He got to dip his toes in the water last week at the fairgrounds. I think he'll be a little bit more competitive here tonight. Just outside of the top 5, Jonathan Schaefer, Christian Peterson, Rylan Gray in the 64. We saw him compete yesterday at the Winchester Speedway as well. I believe he pulled in with some sort of mechanical issue. They also had a fuel leak at the start, so they had to come in, get that fixed. They were able to make it back out, but unfortunately did not finish the race.
Yeah, and tough break for Rylan Gray. Rookie year in a pavement sprint car last year in the Speed Chaser 64. Normally see him on the dirt tracks in and around Indiana. But as the field comes out, we give him a quick warm-up session before we go green for 50 laps later tonight.
Yeah, and while they get their warm-up underway, let's look at the schedule heading forward, Cody, because we have got a track. We don't have Winchester, but we have Bristol next Monday night. 55 laps there. I was practicing earlier today, and the setup, I can proudly say, is going to be better on the top side. So it's going to be the Winchester style, but it's not quite going to be Winchester. But yesterday, I think quick time was a 14.5. Is that correct, Cody? I think 14.5 from Hamilton.
Look it up here. It was a 14.571 in a new Winchester Speedway track record.
So 14.571 was quick time yesterday. Earlier today in my practice, the best lap I got down to, and I did about 15 laps, I'd say, was a 13.2. I mean, we were knocking on 12 seconds. So these drivers, I mean, they're going to have more laps on the setup than me, and they're going to be able to figure it out maybe more than me. So I'm very excited for Bristol. I think it's going to be a battle of who can keep the car under control, because it is a very tough track to tame. It's a little bit faster than what they were running at Winchester last week, so these drivers are going to have to be locked in for all 55 laps, especially on the exits of the corners.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate Winchester won't be ready in time. Excited to see that eventually make its way to the iRacing surface, but just as you said, Bristol appears to be top-line dominant. Going to be very similar to what we saw at Winchester yesterday afternoon in the Tom Bigelow Showdown, and we'll be running speeds pretty close to what the wing sprint cars were running at Bristol and must-see at an event there about 15 years ago. So Bristol looking exciting as always, and I gotta be curious. That concrete surface there at Bristol may throw another wrench into things.
Oh, it's going to for sure. The tire degradation is going to be to an all-time max in this series. I think Oswego tonight's going to be pretty demanding on tires, but Bristol next week, especially if you're driving a line more aggressive on one tire than the other, it's probably going to be the right front, just based on initial looks. The tires are going to have to last all 55 laps. They don't have a set in the pits, so that's going to play a factor for sure. And we're talking about the top line being dominant. It's going to be dominant, but the thing about Bristol that's a little bit different than Winchester, they do have the option to go down to the bottom. It's a little bit slower, I think, in overall pace, and it is harder to build up a run on the bottom, but they can make it happen, and I think we will see some guys figure out the bottom with enough practice and testing.
It might be a race similar to what we saw with NASCAR Cup Series at Bristol there in the late 2010s. It'll be fun. But as we look at the starting lineup for tonight's YourBigPlans.com 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series event at Oswego. On the pole, winners of 2 of the last 3, it's Zach Catalone, and to his outside, winner at Winchester yesterday afternoon, it's Jatson Masenko.
Inside of row number 2, he was on the podium last week in the number 17 machine. Raced at Anderson this past weekend with the Tri-State Sprints. That is Andrew Bogus. And to his outside, had a top 6 run last week at the fairgrounds. That's Sabin Bybent.
Row 3 runner has been runner-up in the points for a while now. Jeffrey Stanton in the 94. He was outside. He was at Winchester yesterday taking everything in. Has driven just about everything. That's Jonathan Schaefer.
Inside of row number 4, driver currently 6th in the point standings. That's the 75P, the Trick Chassis machine of Christian Peterson. And to his outside, driver yesterday at the Winchester Speedway, joining us here tonight in the 64 Precision Motorsports machine. That is Rylan Gray.
Starting 9th in the 81, it'll be Anthony Woodhull with Precision Motorsports. And to his outside in the number 20, it'll be Josh Batista.
Starting in the 11th spot, the Brad Hayes Racing number 18, teammates to yesterday's winner, Masinko, on the sim side. That is Noah Longyear. And to his outside, the 222 machine, the flagman from the New Paris Speedway, that is Jeremiah Woods Jr.
As we go to next row, and it'll be Brandon Atkinson to the inside. And to his outside in the 53, it'll be Peter Soto.
Row number 8, a couple of Kalamazoo Speedway front-wheel drive veterans at this point, Matthew Elzey Jr. and Dave Leonard Jr. And rounding out the field out back, it's going to be Zach Evans and Zach Murphy as Zach Attack row number 9. Adam Fulford joining us in the race control booth here tonight. Cody, it is green flag time here at the Oswego Speedway through turns 3 and 4. Zach Catalone and Jackson Masinko bring us to the green.
It is a bit of a slow start as the pace at a snail's rate, as Masinko trying to hang tough on the outside. Looks like Catalone will clear going into 3.
Into 3 for the first time. Catalone takes the top spot. Masinko to second. Andrew Bogus settles in to the second position. Down into 1 for the second time. Your top 5 single file. Jonathan Schaefer and Rylan Gray side by side for the 6th position back behind them.
Yeah, the top 7 or 8 starting to go single file as we are under yellow for the first time, and looks like Josh Batista may have gotten a piece of it.
Yeah, Josh Batista in the number 20 machine. He was running in the 10th spot. I don't know what happened, but looks like there's some damage to the front end, and there was also some damage to the tail tank as well. Let's look at what happened to Batista.
They're on the outside trying to get settled in for this one, and looks like he just got loose going into 3 and overcorrected it, and there she went.
Yeah, the car kind of snapped around on him. I think maybe got loose letting off of the throttle, and then as soon as he went to correct it, the weight came back, and then the car went straight around. Let's look at that on board with the driver out of Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, you could see it weight kind of got back on that right rear a little bit too much, and when he let off the throttle, it all slammed back down, and the car came back around. Wheel looks a little bit out, but he may be able to get that car repaired up, as caution laps don't count here.
Yeah, last week at Nashville, able to go caution-free, green to checkered. This week, only getting 2 laps in, so you'll have that in big-time auto racing.
Yeah, I was just bragging up to the drivers in the drivers meeting how we had less cautions in last week's race than the 500 Sprint Car Tours did yesterday, so that was a pretty good stat, but we do not keep it throughout the rest of the evening, I'm afraid. We are only about 1 lap in, and first caution flag is out.
As Zach Catalone leading early, and we've seen the last 3 weeks where beginning of the race, he'll fall back to second, sometimes even third, and as the race goes on, he makes his way back to the front. We saw that last week getting around Masinko around the halfway point, but we're getting set to go back to green.
Yeah, we're not going to be transferring the double file restarts from the real life Sprint Car Tour into the Sim Series. We'll go single file through the restart zone, and a bit of a stack up back behind him, but they are back green and we're back racing. Masenko right there to the back bumper of Catalone, maybe looking to the inside down into turn number 3.
Masenko able to pull even. Great run through 3 and 4. He'll clear Catalone for the lead. Now Bogus trying to go to the outside of Catalone for second.
Yeah, Masenko using that real-life experience with these single-file restarts to his advantage. He was able to tuck up right to the back bumper of Catalone, and he took that top spot away in a hurry. And there's Catalone in the 71. Oh, sideways, brings it to a stop, and he does go up and over. He tried everything to not get that car to bike up and over, and it did. He's going to have to tow back to the pits. Hopefully he can get it towed back quickly, as we saw the contact with Bogus, and that sent the 79 for a slide, just barely overcorrected. Look at the KG Media replay. A little tap there, and then when the car came back around, thought he had it, but then as soon as it came to a stop, tough break.
Yeah, and fortunately, Catalone didn't hit the wall or anything, and just a Tommy tip over once he got the car to come to a stop. So hopefully very little damage to that 79, and he can continue on with no harm and no foul.
Yeah, like you said, there's not much damage on it, and with Zach being the veteran iRacer that he is, you can see how quickly he had that car reset. He's trying to get it towed back out as quickly as he can. Unfortunately, there is no lucky dog, so he is actually going to have to drive his way back up through this field. The good thing is he can maintain his position within the lead lap cars, so if a caution flag does come out, he doesn't have to drop back to the rear.
Yeah, and also, fortunately, it's 5 laps into the race, so still have a long way to go here at Oswego. So if he can get back out before we go back to green, he'll still have very much going to be in this. We've seen drivers make bonsai runs through the field, starting way in the back and finishing top 10, sometimes even in the top 5. So he's definitely not out of this one if he can make it back onto the track.
Yeah, the caution light's still on, so he does have a little bit extra time here. I'll try to keep an eye on when he does leave, and it looks like he is back out. Wow, Catalone not going to lose a lap with that flip.
And fortunately, it's just a Tommy tip over, but he's going to put himself at the tail, so put him 18th on the grid, 17 cars ahead of him, but like we said, still got a long way to go here, as we see the 17 of Bogus also to the tail. Looked like there was contact between the two that started that, so that'll move Sabin Bybent up to the second spot.
Yeah, likely a claim from the 17 of Andrew Bogus, which we've got a gentleman's rule here in the Sim Series. If you make a mistake, overstep, get into somebody, something along those lines, you got to own up to it. And fortunately, Bogus did right there, but Masenko going to bring the field back to the green, and he launches ahead of Sabin Bybent and Jeffrey Stanton. We're back underway, 6 laps in.
Looked like, I don't know if he locked the brakes up or hit the wall, but looks like we saw some smoke in 1 and 2 from Masenko, but he continues on like nothing happened. Meanwhile, Stanton, quick peek to the outside of Bybent for the second spot.
Yeah, going on board with Stanton. You can see down the back straightaway just how much time he's got to make a move. Looks to the outside. Wow. I thought he was going to run out of room and scrape the wall there, Cody.
Yeah, and that might cost him third, as he's able to pull ahead of Peterson and clear him. Now trying to make another run on Bybent for the second spot. Thought about going inside there. Sticks behind the 98 for the time being.
Yeah, fierce battle for that second position. Jeffrey Stanton wants to take the second spot and have an opportunity to attack Masenko for the race lead. Right now, Masenko out front, holding the lead. We look a little bit further back. Here's Andrew Bogus trying to work his way back through the field. He gets to the inside of, that's Matthew Elzy Jr. in the 27. Zach Catalone working his way forward as well.
Yeah, Catalone up to 12th, looking to the inside of Atkinson for 11th. Take that 10th now as the scoreboard resets itself. But Catalone making quick work through the field so far, and Bogus trying to follow him through.
Yeah, you saw him have to split the middle 3 wide right there. The 53 of Petey Soto kind of got loose up off the corner, shot down to the bottom. Catalone and Atkinson stayed up on the outside lane, and Catalone taking no prisoners here at Oswego as he looks to the inside of Noah Longyear for the 9th position. Give it to him out of 2.
Yeah, no challenge as Catalone takes the spot. Otis starting to lose ground on Catalone, as meanwhile, and we are under yellow as we say that, so that'll slow things up, and looks to be the number 10 of Dave Leonard Jr.
Yeah, Leonard missing a right front on pit road. He got back to the pits before I could get the caution on screen. Let's watch the 10. He was running by himself. And looks like similar instance to what we saw with Batista. Just car got out from underneath him going into 3. And that sends him around. And we'll have a caution.
And the talk in the Discord leading up to tonight's race was Oswego being a notoriously difficult track, as we see it bite Leonard here. As we'll go to the in-car down the back stretch, and looks like a similar fate to Batista. Started to get free, overcorrected it, and landed it in the turn 3 wall.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I do think that will end his run. You can see the right front off of that machine. But this gives Masenko a chance to kind of reset. We're about 14 laps into this one. Or 12 laps into this one, sorry. Masenko leads, Bybit second, Stanton third. In that run, Catalone was able to work his way up to the 10th spot. Longyear going to get back by, as they did not complete that lap.
And Catalone in the top 10 already. Andrew Bogus not far behind him. Bogus running 12th. Finished on the podium last week at Nashville. Sees himself go to the back early in this one after contact with Catalone. But both drivers making their way back through the field so far. And this caution bunching the field back up. Got to help him just a little bit as we get closer to the halfway point of this one.
Yeah, we're just shy of 15 laps into it. Halfway's lap 25. And we will, I think, turn the dial up once halfway gets there. Right now, everybody's trying to take it easy. I don't think it's working out so well for a couple drivers. We've seen one spin from contact, and then we've seen 2 drivers just trying to get things settled in, having a little bit of discomfort into 3.
Yeah, and as the pace car drops off to the infield, Jatson Masenko leading the way here in this one, as he'll lead Bybit and Stanton through 3 and 4, slowly at a snail's pace, and we are back to green.
Oh, and they stack up back behind him. Longyear in the 18, wheel hopped right there. A couple cars had to swerve to avoid. Everybody was luckily able to keep it going, but you could see as everybody stacked up in the restart zone, I think that was the 18 that shot up in the air. Luckily, somehow everybody figured that out and got back going in the right direction, but chaotic restart there as out front Masenko leads Bybit, but Bybit under pressure from Jeffrey Stanton.
Yeah, it's starting to be shades of what we saw yesterday at Winchester. Masenko starting to pull away early in this run as Peterson to the inside of Stanton for 3rd.
Yeah, Peterson looking for his best run in the Sim Series. Looks to the inside of Stanton. Stanton tried to hold him tight right there, but you can see the car kind of wiggled on entry, and now Peterson up to the 3rd position back behind. Here comes Zach Catalone looking 3 wide into turn number 1. And contact with Anthony Woodhull.
Well, 3 wide, not working here at Oswego.
Yeah, I didn't quite think that was going to work out. They were making it work for a minute, but I think the 79 just kind of pushed up a little bit, and the 81 got tagged. Luckily, everybody else was able to avoid. Good job by all of the other drivers, really, to avoid the spinning 81. Let's watch it from a better angle here.
Yeah, see that outside car bouncing down the front stretch, and just looked like Catalone came up in the middle of the corner and he went around.
Yeah, we'll try to get that from a different view here. This is from above. Yeah, you see the 79 just pushes up the slightest amount through turns 1 and 2. And that sends the 81 of Woodhull for a spin. So,
yeah, we were talking.
fourth caution.
We were talking about that bump there on the front stretch during the pre-race, and car was, I'm pretty sure all four wheels were off the ground for just a split second. They came across the start-finish line. As we go back to the KG Media replay.
Took me 4 cameras there. There we go.
Down the front stretch. Look at that. That is wild.
Yeah, it's basically a Baja jump. And when Brandon Atkinson's doing all that, he's got to have the wheel straight, because if you don't have it straight, if you're trying to turn into the corner when you're up in the air like that, the car's going to jump out from underneath you and you're going to have a handful down into 1. So it really takes a lot of precision to drive that car over the bump down the front straightaway and drive it hard into the corner.
In Oswego Speedway, they call it the Steel Palace, right on the shores of Lake Erie, home of super modified racing. Sprint cars, USAT Sprints have and made a couple appearances there. Silver Crown was there in the last decade, but very tough track to get around, a lot of characteristics, and we're seeing it here so far tonight.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a tough track. Nashville last week was tough, but this is a different level, because last week you had the banking to rely on. This week you do not. You have to get that car through the flat, bumpy surface in a hurry as we go back to racing here. 17 laps into it. Masinko gets a good launch in the 24. Everybody else going to battle back behind him. A couple cars making positions early. Woods to the inside of Elsie for the 10th spot.
Yeah, and Lanier sideways. What a save. He continues on, but it's getting busy around mid-pack.
Yeah, they are getting dicey back behind him for the 10th spot. Up front for the 3rd position, here comes Stanton to the inside of Bybant. Peterson goes by to the 2nd spot, and now Bybant in the 98 over the bump on the front stretch, trying to get back down to the bottom. And Longyear in the 18 around on the front straightaway, gets it back going. And we will not see the caution flag. His teammate Masinko up and out of 4, 20 laps into it. And they're single file up front.
Yeah, my judgment is, looks like Bybant got caught on the outside and got freight trained. First by Peterson, who moved up to 2nd, and then Stanton in the 94. So Sabin Bybant dropping back to 4th, but looks like he's back to the inside where he needs to be.
Yeah, a couple of cars starting to get spread out here. Masinko pulling away from Christian Peterson. Stanton on the back bumper of Peterson. That's the look at your top 3 as they head down into turn number 1.
Yeah, Stanton trying to put a charge on the 75 of Peterson for the 2nd spot. And Bybant right there as well as Zach Catalone. Up to 8th. He's been stalled there for a few laps now as he tries to work his way around Brandon Atkinson. Andrew Bogus just behind them as Catalone looks to the inside of Atkinson for the 7th spot.
Yeah, Atkinson moved up the track a little bit there. Catalone able to keep that car low out of turn number 2. And he will pull alongside up in front of him. Stanton to the inside of Peterson. Peterson slams the door down into turns 1 and 2 this time by. It'll be halfway in, halfway home. Cross flags for Jackson Masinko.
Yeah, that battle for 2nd becoming a 3-car battle as Stanton able to get to the inside of Peterson. He's right there at the wheel well, side by side, out of 2. Stanton trying to take the 2nd spot as he goes way low down the back stretch, and he'll clear him going into 3.
Yeah, Peterson, I think, backed off, tried to pull a crossover move there. Down the front straightaway, though, Stanton able to keep the bottom lane closed off, and he will now have his sights set on Jackson Masinko. We'll see if he can try to track him down. Is back behind Zach Catalone up into the 6th position. He's gotten around Brandon Atkinson and Rylan Gray. He's trying to bring Andrew Bogus with him back behind. Bogus runs 9th.
Yeah, and laps are clicking down. So we now just have 23 to go. And as you get through the field, closer to the front, passes are harder to come by. As we got contact between Bogus and Gray, both drivers able to save it. We continue on. What a save for both drivers.
Yeah, 2 real-life sprint car drivers getting after it in turns 3 and 4. Both of them able to save it, and I think Gray not happy with the move from Bogus that time. More contact. This is looking like late model racing.
Yeah, neither driver giving an inch as they're side by side once again into one. Looks like they'll give each other some room now. And as I say that, they bump again out of 2. Bogus on the inside trying to take the spot. Rylan Gray not making it easy.
Yeah, Gray crossing back down the racetrack every time Andrew Bogus gets out in front of him and just takes that position right back, makes the 17 restart. Almost, it's got to be frustrating for Bogus. Oh, and the caution flag's out. Matthew
Looks
Elsie
like
Jr. on the back.
The front wheel drive competitor here in our neck of the woods as we go to the KG Media replay. Battling for position with Jeremiah Woods and just lost it out of 2 and don't think he hit anything, so get that 27 turned around and get back going.
Yeah, fortunately he doesn't have to worry about a push start, so we'll get that car right back around, and he may lose a lap after that because the pace car was back out in front of him. I'm not entirely sure how that scoring will play out, but let's get another look from the in-car of the 27. You can see the visor getting a little bit dirty now.
And got right up against that wall as you do here in Oswego, and back end just comes out from under him out of 2. Just hard racing with Jeremiah Woods, and Elsie lost it on his own.
Yeah, and you have to be so careful on the throttle in these cars that it oftentimes puts you in a bad spot when you're off the corner like that and battling with another driver. You have to maybe give it a little bit more gas, and you kind of lose track of what you're doing, get caught up in the mix of the battle, and make a mistake like that. And unfortunately, Elsie, I think, may just be done. We'll see if he gets that car back out.
And this will move.
Car.
And this will move Zach Catalone into the top 5. Still got about 18 laps to go, but and this caution is one that he probably wanted to see because as he's worked through the field, passes been harder to come by, and this now bunches the field back up, but a lot less time now than he had when he first went to the tail, so. And a lot of fast cars. We've seen great racing between Stanton, Bybent, and Peterson, that 2nd through 4th spot, so it's going to be a fun last few laps here at Oswego.
For sure. We are just under 20 laps to go, and Masinko going to lead this field to the green. Stanton back behind. That's going to be a battle that we're going to have to watch as well. The 94 is right there. I think he's going to have a good start here, and he may be able to challenge this 24 car. We'll find out as they roll through turns 3 and 4. We'll wait for the restart zone. And into the zone they go. They pick up the pace. Good launch from the 24. And we are back racing. 19 laps remain here at Oswego.
Catalone immediately to the outside of Peterson, trying to take 4th. He'll cross over, go to the inside, into 3. He'll take the spot easily. And just like that, Peterson with the crossover. Looks like Catalone able to hold on for now, but Peterson pulls even with him into 1.
Yeah, that big crossover move through turns 3 and 4. Peterson was able to pull back alongside, but Catalone trying to hold him tight through turns 3 and 4. We said this track was going to be multi-groove. We're seeing it here. Catalone using that outside lane and able to hold off Christian Peterson. He shuts the door down into turn number 1. Move Catalone back up to the 4th position with 17 laps to go.
Peterson's still all over Catalone, but Catalone trying to pull away as the top three starting to gain ground on that fourth place Catalone, as meanwhile we're side by side throughout the back of the field.
Yeah, Noah Longyear trying to work his way back forward after that spin that did not get the yellow flag. Right now sitting in the 14th spot, gets around Petey Soto.
As up front, Masinko continuing to lead the way. They're about 2.5 tenths as we come to 14 laps to go. Bybent loose out of 4. That'll open the door for Catalone on the outside as they battle for third through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Catalone to the inside, down into 3. Hops the rear tires, a little nudge to the 98 machine. Bybent up the racetrack, good save. But here comes the 79 of Catalone to the inside.
Bybent holding strong on the outside. Catalone with the short way around the Oswego Speedway. Still side by side into 3, but Catalone with a big run through 3 and 4. Still not quite able to clear Bybent though. Yeah, just running by himself. Zietz, and looks like just got into the inside wall out of 4, and it sent him around.
Yeah, you can get close to the inside wall down into 3, but if you get a little bit too close, it will bite you. Let's watch on board with the 222 of Woods. Looks like went up the racetrack and then loose down into the wall. And once it got that left front tire into the wall, there was no coming back in the 222s.
Yeah, in an instance like that, looks like that inside wall may have saved him because he had no room to go down any further into the infield, so it straightened him out before he went around, and he's able to get it turned around and get back going.
As we get the caution flag for the 6th time here tonight, Masinko, your race leader, has to hold off Jeffrey Stanton, Sabin Bybent, and Zach Catalone, who is up into the top 5. Catalone in the 79 has worked his way back forward. He was just about around Sabin Bybent, but the 79, I think, was getting a little bit free off of the corner, losing some of that drive that he'd had all race long.
Yeah, and we saw during that last run, Catalone get into Bybent, try to pull off the bump and run, and Bybent was still able to hold him off in the 98. So, interested to see what the tire situation looks like with the 79 of Catalone having to work from the tail after being involved in an early race yellow.
Yeah, Masinko's, I think, definitely going to have the tire advantage if they have to race one-on-one. But if Catalone can get up to the 2nd spot and maybe fire off on a restart, if we do have one, I think Catalone may have a shot at this. But Stanton and Bybent right there as well if Masinko makes a mistake in the 24. Pace car pulls off. Going to be Masinko, Stanton, and Bybent bringing the field back to the green. They pick up the pace through turns 3 and 4 just a little bit. And into the restart zone they go. Little stack up back behind, but great launch from your race leader. And we go back with 11 to go and caution flag out immediately. The 64 of Rylan Gray up and over.
Yeah, you thinking it was going to be a matter of time just with some of the stack ups on these restarts. And Rylan Gray looks like he comes out on the bad end of that and just wheel hop the 17 of Bodis coming to the green, and away for a tumble he went.
Yeah, we saw a couple wheel hops earlier, and you knew that one of them you weren't going to be able to get away with it. Well, let's watch that. I think it was Bogus that he ended up getting right there, and yeah, you can see just gets a little bit too aggressive, tries to go the outside, and 17 moves up at the last minute, and there's contact, and he bounces around and ends up on his lid. Tough break for the 64.
Yeah, and we've seen that on restarts throughout the night. Back of the field stack up, and saw Noah Lanier wheel hop somebody, but able to keep it going earlier in the race. And now Ryland Gray goes for a ride on the restart.
Yeah, Gray goes for a tumble in turn number 1, or entering turn number 1. Masenko, your race leader, got a great launch that time. He's going to have to do it again here. There's a couple less cars back behind him, 15 cars on the racetrack. I don't think Gray is going to be able to get back out in the 64, but I guess we will see. The light's still on the iRacing.com pace car. We're not quite ready to send them back green yet, Cody. What do you think is going through the minds of Jeffrey Stanton and Sabin Bybant? How do you get around the 24 Masenko who's been so dominant?
Well, it's going to have to come on the restart, which Masenko's been really good on restarts all night long, so much easier said than done. But while having to deal with trying to get around the 24 Masenko for the lead, you also have Zach Catalone, winner of 2 of the past 3 500 Sprint Car Tour sim races, right behind him, who's worked his way from dead last after an early race incident. So you got to try to make your moves when you can, and at the same time try to hold off that hard-charging 79 behind you.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun battle to the finish. We're inside of the final 10 to 15 laps here. I think the timing and scoring will reset once they get back to the line. But Masenko, Stanton, and Bybant once again bringing us through turns 3 and 4 to the restart zone. Everybody leaving a little bit more space this time, and a great launch from Masenko. We go back with 8 laps to go.
Yeah, and Catalone tried looking to the outside of Bybant, had to pull back in line. Now he'll go to the inside, side by side through 3 and 4. Catalone not quite able to clear him just yet.
Catalone in the 79, able to get by right there. Does get finally clear of the 98 of Sabin Bybant. Can he take that spot now? But up front for the race lead, Jeffrey Stanton does not let Jackson Masenko get away. We have got 8 laps to go. What can Stanton do in the 94? He looks to the outside, trying to set something up through turns 3 and 4.
Stanton trying to peek to the inside out of 4. Masenko still holding on to the lead as we'll go caution. 2 cars around in the corner.
Yeah, that's the 81 of Anthony Woodhull. And then Matthew Elsie Jr. followed in the 27. Didn't quite see how it happened, but the 81 was running inside of the top 10. And then down the track, Jonathan Schaefer was right there. I just don't think the 81 quite saw Schaefer. In his defense, I don't know if I quite saw Schaefer. I don't know where he came from.
As we go back to the replay, battling with Bogus, and looks like Schaefer just got loose down the backstretch and then stayed there on the inside, and then by the time they got into 3, Woodhull just could not see Schaefer. Not really much he could have done there.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have been able to do anything different. I had no idea where Schaefer even came from until we saw that replay there. Let's watch it one more time. We'll see Schaefer pop into frame right there. And yeah, if you're... I mean, I think you saw right there late. He may have saw Schaefer, but it was just too late into the corner for him to leave enough space. And there was ultimately contact, which sends the 81 around. He's down pit road, joined by Matthew Elsie Jr. in the 27.
Yeah, Oswego Speedway is a very wide racetrack, so easy to not see anybody come up from the far inside line, especially when you drive it deep into the corner. Really just not much you could do there.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to avoid. And The two of them, I know, good friends. There may be a disagreement between the two of them after this one, but hopefully they can resolve that. Just tough racing. If it was real life and you had an actual spotter, I think you maybe would have known that, but with the iRacing spotter, you can only get so much accuracy. So let's see what happens this time. Inside of 10 laps to go, Masinko gonna have Stanton and Catalone hot on his tail as we come back to the green. 7 laps remain at Oswego.
That might be the best restart yet for Stanton. He was all over Masinko's tail tank during that last run. Now has less laps to do it. Is Masinko able to pull ahead a little bit out of 4 as Catalone looking to the inside of Stanton for second.
Catalone in the 79 drives right to the bottom of Stanton. Stanton going to try to cross over, but Catalone keeps the bottom lane closed off. Down into turn number 3, this time by high 5 out in the air. And actually yellow flag out in the air. Caution is out. The 53 of Soto goes for a spin down the back straightaway.
Yep, and Stanton loves seeing that yellow because we go back to the last completed lap. He'll retain the second spot. As we go to the replay, we see Soto there right behind Longyear and just lost it halfway down the backstretch.
Yeah, he picked the perfect spot to spin to. Got right into the pit opening. I don't think there was any contact there. I think just maybe he was trying to avoid the 29 of Murphy up off of the corner. Just got a bad transition on the bump, and that's the thing that makes this racetrack so tough, is that you'll run 2 laps and the car will get loose in 8 different spots. It's not very predictable per lane. Some tracks you have one bump and you know the car is going to be loose over that bump, but Oswego, not a very predictable racetrack as far as getting loose and where you're going to push and stuff like that.
Yeah, not a predictable racetrack and plenty of bumps to go around. And Soto able to find one there on the back stretch, and that'll bring out the caution and set up a 5-lap shootout.
Yeah, we're going to have 5 to go, and Masinko will have Stanton and Catalone to his back bumper. Catalone got a great launch that time, got around Stanton, but what can Jeffrey Stanton do to make himself the driver that's able to go up and challenge Masinko? That BHR 24 has been strong. He's looking for his 2nd win this season. We'll see if he can get it in just a matter of laps.
And that last restart, that was perhaps Stanton's best shot at Masinko right off the rip, and almost immediately found himself playing defense with Catalone, trying to get to his outside. And Stanton was saved by the yellow there because it looked like Catalone had second and was going to have a shot at that Brad Hayes Racing number 24 before the end of 50 laps here.
Yeah, we will see what unfolds. Pace car moves down to pit road for what could be the final time. Masinko, Stanton, Catalone, Bybant, and Atkinson, your top 5, bringing us through turns 3 and 4. And back to the green. Good launch from the 24. What can Stanton and Catalone do? 5 laps remain here at Oswego. And through turns 1 and 2, Stanton all over the back bumper, looks to the outside. Stanton to the top side of Masinko. Masinko up the racetrack in the 24 machine. 3 wide for the top spot. Stanton wrecks. Catalone into the infield, up into the flag stand. My goodness.
Just happened.
Your top 3 out of turn number 4. I mean, they were 3 wide. Wow, that one is going to take some analysis, Cody, because that was crazy. It looked like Masinko right here. Let's go back to the restart. Masinko was loose down the back straightaway right here, and I think that opens up the door for Stanton. And then Masinko goes deep into 3, takes that top side back, and then Stanton and Catalone make contact there. And then you can see the 79, the ride that he went for, and I don't think that one he's going to be able to recover from as easily.
Yeah, hopefully our flagman there had his race car mitt ready for that, but what a sequence there in the final laps, and Oswego nearly gave that one away, but 3 wide out of 4, and we've already seen tonight 3 wide doesn't work here on corner exits, as Masinko swung wide, and that allowed Stanton and Catalone to get to the inside, and ended badly for the 94 and the 79.
Yeah, tough break for Catalone. Able to get the car back on his wheels. He drove it back to the pits, but a lot of damage on his machine. A crazy incident at the front. Nobody else collected. Masinko was able to drive away from that one free. If he would have been on the bottom, if he would have committed to the inside lane, he would have been involved in that one. So Masinko going to reset here. Lights back off on the iRacing.com pace car, Cody. We'll try to finish this one off with 4 laps to go. Vibant runs second. Does he have anything left for Masinko now?
I mean, we're about to find out, especially after Masinko's last restart. I think after seeing that, Vibant feels a lot better about his chances than he did before that restart. But as Masinko guiding the field through turn 4 at a snail's pace, and we are back green with 4 to go.
Yep, 4 laps to go for Masinko. Good launch from the 24 machine. Vibant in the 98 has to defend from Brandon Atkinson. Here comes Andrew Bogus up into the top 4. He gets around Christian Peterson as we come back to 3 to go. Peterson going to cross back over in the 75. But the 17 of Bogus shuts the door. Out front, Masinko leads down the back straightaway. Atkinson in the 15, loose in the 3rd spot. This time by Popsicle Sticks up in the air. 2 laps to go.
As we nearly wreck, and we do, huge wreck. At corner exit, that'll bring out the yellow. Flagman, race car mitt in hand once again, and what a shot there into the wall.
Yeah, that was Zach Murphy in the 29. Did not see how it happened. I saw where it ended up, but I think he just got loose and shot across the racetrack. Who was that shot into the infield? Was that Soto? It was.
I think so. Yeah, how do you end up in that spot? Looks like there may have been contact. And then Soto, perfect landing spot after he went around.
Yeah, he really could not have slid. He couldn't have slid into a perfect spot, because we're going to watch that in slow motion one more time. 29 shoots up the racetrack, bounces right back into the wall, grabs the left rear, and then he could hit that tire barrier, doesn't. He could hit those barrels, barely does, and calmly comes to rest. Well done.
He couldn't do that. He couldn't do that again if he tried.
Yeah, that was well executed spinning, in my opinion. Masinko, your race leader, once again going to have to defend here. He's got the same 2 back behind him. Andrew Bogus in the 17 looks strong just before that caution flag flew. I wouldn't count him out of 2nd or 3rd place run just yet.
Yeah, looking deeper in the field, give a big shout out to Zach Evans. Was one of the first commits to the 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series when it was announced. Had another iRacing league going on that's made him miss a couple races here early, but he's now sitting in the 7th spot here with 3 laps to go, and could end up with a top 5 here if things go his way.
Yeah, it could. He could have a good run here. That last run, him and Noah Longyear were, I don't know if they were going at it, what was going on down into 3. Longyear was way up the racetrack with the 6 to his outside, so I don't know if there was some tensions there or if it was just hard racing, but we'll see what happens as Masinko going to line him back up, trying to finish this one off. I know Jackson's probably like, come on, guys, just let's get it over with here. Let's see what happens as they go back through turns 3 and 4 into the restart zone for what could be the final time. Green flag is back out. 2 laps to go. Green-white checkered time.
Yep. Otis to the inside of Atkinson for the 3rd spot. Looks like he might be able to clear him going into 3. Meanwhile, Jatson Masinko all by himself as he comes to the white flag.
White flag is out for Masinko. Battle for the 3rd spot is hot and heavy back behind him. Andrew Bogus going to get by Brandon Atkinson. Peterson looking to the inside of Atkinson for 3rd, but up and out of turns 3 and 4. Give the race win to Jackson Masinko for the 2nd time this season. He wins at Oswego, backing up his performance yesterday at the Winchester Speedway. Masinko, your winner for the 2nd time this season.
Yeah, and did it in similar fashion to North Wilkesboro. Got up front early and dominated this one. Had a close call there late in the race with Atkinson and Catalone, but able to stay out of trouble, stay out of that mess. And 2nd time this season on the sim side, and for the 2nd straight night, finds himself in victory lane.
Yeah, and he's going to burn it down after this one, going to add to his points lead after that one. And you know Masinko's got to be feeling happy after that one. Let's grab a word from our race winner. See if we can get him up into broadcast booth. Up into the booth. We'll let you get that machine to a stop. Jackson Masinko, winner at Oswego. You were able to drive right up around Zach Catalone there early. How much of a difference did that make in the race?
Unfortunately for him, I think it made all the difference. I don't know what happened on that early wreck with him and whoever was behind him. I don't know if there was contact there or if Zach just lost it trying to push. But you got to be aggressive on, at least in my opinion, you have to be really aggressive on these race starts because that's where so many of the positions can be made. And I felt like I had to get back in front of it. I had to get in front of him. I did the same thing at Nashville last week, and then apparently I didn't do enough lifting and coasting or fuel saving to keep weight in the back. So this race I was trying to do that too, but I knew I needed to have a sense of urgency and try and dictate the race, and tried to get in front of him right away, and I was able to.
Yeah, and this race was one that you weren't exactly sure about. I mean, had to purchase the track this morning, if I remember right. But what did you learn? What did you learn during that practice session we had earlier, and how it helped you end up in victory lane?
Well, I got when I got off work today, I got to buy the track right around like 6:30ish. So I got to do some laps beforehand, which definitely helped because I genuinely didn't know this track shape. All I'd seen was people texting about how rough it is and how tricky this race might be. And so I didn't have all that much confidence yesterday when we talked about it, Cody. But I got enough time to learn the track on my own, and then when we jumped into the practice session, you get to see what lines people are running, where maybe the passing zones are going to be, and you really get to work on long run pace and see kind of what the car might do over 10 to 15 laps. So that's what that practice session helped me with, just learning exactly how I need to manage my tires and manage the car. I don't think I did that all that well, to be honest. There was a couple times I saw Stanton on my bumper after a restart, and I tried to get out of the corner a little harder than I should have, and I burnt up the rears. But I guess it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough.
Tell me what you thought when you got loose out of 2 and had to drive that car off deep into 3 to defend both Stanton and Catalone. They're late in the race. I mean, that was a crazy moment.
Yeah, that one was sketchy. I knew it was going to be difficult regardless to get out of turns 3 and 4. Just it doesn't matter what line you're in. It's just really hard to put the power down. So I felt like if I could get up the track or I could get hard enough into the corner to clear him, I was going to have a good chance to stay clear down the front stretch. Now, whether or not that would have happened, I don't know. But I at least put myself in a position where if they did get, bottled up, which evidently it seems they did, I would be kind of out of the danger zone. So it feels nice. Good to get that win. Good to extend that points gap. And try and keep it running next week at Bristol.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be intense at Bristol. It's a similar track to Winchester, so I think you may have an advantage going in there, but really a mix-up in the schedule because it's not like anything we've seen so far. But great run here tonight. You had a great run yesterday, backed it up here in the Sim Series. You'll expand your points lead. Who do you have to thank for 2 really awesome races?
Well, it's very similar to yesterday. Got to thank for both races. Got to thank the BHR team, just for getting the car from the shop to the track, giving me a setup to run on the track in real life, and then heck in this, one of my crew guys giving me the qualifying tips to make me a little better in qualifying since I struggled there in race 2 and race 3. So got to thank them. Got to thank all my sponsors and our partners in real life: JTM Food Group, Brockman Signs, William Lang and Sons Ironworks, American Scaffolding, Ronsworth, J. Owens Wealth Planning, Brogan Oil, just all of our team partners as well, MPD, Performance, Advanced Racing Suspensions, and of course, a Motorsport Oil. And I'm sure I'm forgetting one or two, but got to thank all of them for allowing me to live my dream and do this almost every single weekend. It's a blast, and I appreciate you guys putting in the effort to put on this little series.
Yeah, it's been fun. We're officially halfway, and you've got 2 wins so far. So I'm excited to see what you can do in the second half of this season. And congratulations on your victory here tonight and yesterday as well.
Thank you very much.
All right, Cody, that was our winner here tonight. 2 nights in a row. I mean, we were talking about the possibility of that before the race yesterday. We were talking about the sweep 2 nights in a row, and he pulled it off. I mean, I can't say anything else. I mean, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, got the Brad Hayes Racing 24 in victory lane for the second straight night, and finishing second in the 98, the paint scheme similar to what's seen in the Doran Bates Racing car in real life. It's Sabin Bybant. Well, found yourself back half of the top 5 there late, and seems like the seas parted for you and come home second.
Yeah, I got really lucky there, just kind of similar to the start of the race when I got the second. Like, Catalone was way better than I was. Then I thought I might get Jeffrey if I had like a 5 or so lap run, but I was just really bad on restarts. It's something that I still haven't figured out in these things. But I was pretty fast as a 3 to 5th place car, but I didn't really see myself running second there. But I don't know how it would have played out on a long run. In practice, I was way off the pace, and kind of just got lucky hitting a lap in qualifying. So, and similar to Nashville, I wasn't very good in hot laps, and we qualified, I think, 5th, and I was a 4 to 6th place guy. So, like, last week, I felt like I kind of spent more time learning racing than kind of running the car. I thought I was 4th-ish, and just screwed up and fell back to 6th. So here at Oswego is kind of more about protecting the bottom and making the guy drive around the outside of you. So I felt like I could kind of hold my own, but Catalone was more class of the field. I don't know how that would have played out with him and Jack, but it was cool to see Jack get the job done 2 nights in a row, which is neat. And the win at Winchester was super cool.
Yeah, for sure. 2 in a row. We've been talking about it. It's pretty cool. He got the sweep. He got the broom out. He swept it. What did you think there when you saw the C's part, and what did you maybe learn from a couple of these guys? I know you said you're still trying to figure a couple things out. What did you learn from these cars around you that you can carry on to the rest of the season?
Honestly, just I feel like I was too focused on trying to get my qualifying pace right, whereas like once qualifying's huge just so you're not having to pass like 5-10 cars to get through the field, but just kind of working on my race pace. The biggest thing is needing to learn how to fire off, like getting down into 1 on restarts, because I just feel like for a lap and a half, I'm just kind of protecting because I'm 2 steps back. So just trying to figure out a way to get more aggressive so that I can maybe get a spot here or there, or put myself in position to. But just how smooth they are. Like, Jeffrey got by me, and like when I forced him to the outside, he couldn't get by me, but they're just ready to pounce right away. And then I don't know how Catalone is. He's just so smooth, and like he runs a diamond, so it's a perfect like job at protecting and passing cars. So that's something that I gotta watch and try and learn. Um, but just seeing Jack run, I mean, he's good at his restarts, and clearly he's good in the real car too, and it shows. Um, so I just have a little bit. I probably have like a tenth to find, but I'm close.
Now, normally we see you on the real life side running the dirt tracks here in Indiana and surrounding areas, but you actually do have a 500 Sprint Car Tour start at Anderson back in 2023. But just how cool is it to get the 500 Sprint Car Tour involved here on the sim side?
Yeah, this is really cool. Kind of shining light on the pavement sprint car here on iRacing. And it's something it's something serious and competitive and to look forward to on Monday nights, which is really cool. Everyone runs pretty hard, and the pace is pretty cool that everyone can run as good as they do. So it's honestly something to look forward to on a Monday, which is pretty cool. And then I loved getting to run the two starts that I had at Anderson. Just hasn't really come together since then, but it's cool. I love these cars and I love the pavement racing. It's awesome. It's a little different than what I'm used to though.
Yeah, I'm sure you're able to take some of the. Are you able to take any of the sprint car stuff, the pavement stuff, I should say, to the out or to the dirt side? Is there any back and forth there?
Um, like slow rolling the bottom is pretty similar. The biggest thing is like running the dirt mile races kind of feels like a pavement car. Just in the way that you're saving your tires, saving the fuel, and just how straight you have to keep the car. And then with the rubber racing, it makes it like it just kind of feels like pavement with how precise you have to be on running your line. And I mean, in like dirt sprint car stuff, you can kind of make a pass happen rather quickly, whereas the pavement stuff or Silver Crown, you have to make it happen over a couple laps to really put it together. Like you have to know where you're going to be going out of turn 4 as you enter turn 1. You just have to know what way your momentum's going to go and really understand the guys racing around you.
Yeah, for sure. You have to, like you said there at the end, you have to know who is around you and how well they can hold the line and what part of the corner they're going to diamond and stuff like that. But before we let you go, who else do you have to thank for a second place finish here tonight, your best of the season?
Honestly, I gotta thank Jack for helping me out, just getting up to speed. Like Nashville, he kind of helped run some laps together and kind of figured it out. Whereas today, I was practicing like 30 minutes before the race, and I was way off. So called Jack, and he helped me out, which is pretty cool. Like we grew up racing go-karts together and lived 5 minutes from each other, so it's neat being buddies, and that's still going forward to this day.
All right. Well, congratulations to you on a second place finish here tonight. Hopefully, we can see you more on the podium throughout the rest of the season.
Heck yeah. Thanks for having me, and thanks for putting this on. This is pretty darn cool.
Yes, sir. All right, Cody. That was Saban Bybit. His second start with the series gets a second place finish. Now we'll talk to Andrew Bogus, who was able to drive up after that early contact with Zach Catalan and finish on the podium. Andrew, podium finish here tonight after driving back up through the field. You tapped out after that first one. How did you mentally reset and prepare to drive back through the field?
Yeah, it wasn't as easy. A lot of the guys were really hooked up tonight. This specifically, personally, isn't really my track with the bumps and the amount of like seat time that I have here on the sim. But I just kept my nose down, followed Petter up through the pack. I know he was faster paced than me, and we kind of had to make some contact with some guys, and I know I made some mistakes. Kind of forced the issue there with Schaefer and the 64 car. But yeah, that first incident, I will say that's on me. I didn't expect him to go up and slow up like that, but it happens. You just got to drive to the back, and you just have to never give up and see what you have to do that everybody's not doing.
Yeah, and it looked like you stalled at right around the 6th, 7th spot there. Just how hard was it to pass as you got closer to the front, and then when Stanton and Catalone got together, finding yourself there on the podium here at the end?
Oh, I mean, it was a lot harder than I thought it would be. Once we got up around Schaefer when we were in the 7th spot, what really helped us was I wasn't the best on restarts when timing wise. A lot of the guys, and I didn't expect Zach Catalone to do something like that on the start, the same way that I was trying to kind of like ease into it and get an advantage over on the front stretch, and especially going into the turns. But it's stuff you gotta like learn and see what everybody else is doing. Like even I learned from Schaefer, I learned that going all the way low on that flat part coming out of 4, I learned there was grip there and it was cool track. So when I started doing that, I got around 2 cars and eventually got me into P3. But yeah, it definitely wasn't easy. And then I didn't expect Jackson to make a mistake like that. And Catalone and Stanton just bloodlusted for real estate. And eventually that happened. And I'm like, yes, I might have a shot at the podium. Going towards the end, we had that green-white checkered. Obviously got around, got in the 3rd. If I would have little fine-tuned on my line a little bit more, I maybe would have gotten 2nd. But hey, I'm really happy to be on the podium, and I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I'm happy that you got a good run. 2 weeks in a row, 3rd place finish. What is it going to take next week at Bristol for you to improve 2 spots to get the victory? It's a tough track, the high banks of Bristol, and I'll reveal a couple lap times. I was running 13.2s. What can you do to manage that for 55 laps?
Bristol's a really hard track. It's a lot hard on the tires. The tires tend to heat up a lot more, especially with a hot track. So we can't really tell what track conditions going to be in there. I don't know off the top of my head. I have to look. In terms of points when that comes over, I don't know where I sit right now. I'll have to look. But if I were to give you an answer to that question right now, I'd probably just say consistency. Keep doing top 3 finishes, top 2, and a win is probably a bonus, but it's definitely going to really hard to these guys. Jackson and Catalone they were very fast tonight, especially Stanton too.
Yeah, so much competition throughout the field. Well, before we let you go and before we move on to Bristol, who do you have to thank for a podium finish here for the 2nd week in a row?
Big thanks goes out to Ted and Mary Stahl of the Stalls Motors and Music Experience, Eddie Jawad and his family at Pit Stop Gas Stations, Matt and Ashley Double of USA Earthworks and North Star Aggregates, Fast Company Motorsports, and Eddie Sachs Racing, and everybody else that is a part of my real life racing that makes my real life deal get possible. But yeah, a big congratulations to Jackson Masinko on his win, and especially his win at Winchester too. And I just want to say, all the young people that are watching, and I know there are a few young kids watching this right now, watch my run from tonight. Let that be a lesson. Don't ever give up. Even if you had something go bad tonight, like I just happened with me in another car, don't ever give up. Learn from something. Reset your mind. Take this race as a clear mind. Don't let something make you ornery, because that will not get you far in any sort of racing.
For sure. You gotta have a short memory in racing and be able to put that last race behind you and move on to the next one. And luckily you put that incident behind you, and we're talking to you right now on the podium. So congratulations on 2nd podium finish in a row, and we wish you luck at Bristol.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Well, Cody, that was our 3rd place finisher. Let's look at the final results from Oswego. We just talked to our top 3, Brandon Atkinson and Christian Peterson, the Trick Chassis boys, rounding out the top 5. Looked like BA was going to get a podium there, but Bogus snuck one on that final green-white checkered.
Yeah, Jonathan Schaefer finishing 6th. Zach Evans, career best run in the 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series. He finishes 7th. Noah Longyear, Anthony Woodhull, and Josh Batista rounding out the top 10.
Jeffrey Stanton in the 94, tough break for a driver who is right up at the front all race long. He finishes 11th. Petey Soto comes home 12th. Zach Murphy After that, Tumble comes home 13th. Matthew Elsie Jr. comes home 14th. Zach Catalone comes home in the 15th spot. Rylan Gray comes home in the 16th position. Jeremiah Woods and David Leonard Jr. round out our field, Cody. Well, what were your thoughts at the Steel Palace? We had 11 more cautions than last week because we went caution-free last week, 11 this week.
Yeah, Oswego, such a difficult track, and hard to expect to go caution-free every week, just like we did at Nashville last week, but definitely made up for that here tonight. But in the end, it's same site that we saw at Winchester yesterday afternoon in the real world. Jackson Masinko, victory lane for the second time this season in the Sim Series, and it got a new name on the podium with Sabin Bybent, and back-to-back third-place runs for Andrew Bogus.
For sure. We are also to the second half of the 500 Sprint Car Tours Sim Series season. We'll take a look at the schedule going forward and wrapping up the season. Bristol, South Boston, Slinger, Five Flags, and IRP. A very good mix of different style racetracks, and I think it's really going to put these drivers to the test. If you had to pick one, I know we've done it before, what is your one?
Yeah, and I think this answer has changed every time, but I think looking forward to next week at Bristol, just hearing you talk about what you've experienced while coming up with the setup for next week's race, rather. I think it'll be very similar to what we saw yesterday at Winchester. Then after that, got a great mix of tracks, and that Slinger race catches my eye every time.
Yeah, it's hard to look past that one and not think about the racing they're going to put on. I think that's going to be really good at Five Flags. Five Flags is going to be a track where it's kind of a mix of, Slinger or I guess rather IRP and South Boston. The close quarters of South Boston at Five Flags, but it's also the high speeds of IRP. So it's going to be a very exciting race there. But nonetheless, 5 races left this season, and we've got quite a few stories left to tell. So I'm excited heading into these final couple weeks. I'll let you say your closing remarks, Cody, before we wrap things up at Oswego.
Yeah, so tune in to 500 Sprint Cast. Looks like we'll be live Wednesday night at 6 o'clock on the 500 Sprint Car Tour Facebook page, as well as the Michigan Area Racing Connection Mark News Facebook page. Looks like we'll have Sunday's winner, Jackson Masinko, on the show. We'll have somebody from the USSA Mel Kenya Midget Series as well. But the next race for the OrbitPlans.com 500 Sprint Car Tour, Saturday, July 11th, just under 2 weeks away at Jennerstown Speedway in Pennsylvania. First ever trip to Jennerstown for the series. I'm super excited for that one. So if you can make it to Jennerstown, be sure to go check it out. I've heard Jennerstown, one of the nicest short tracks in the country. So looking forward to that. And if you can't make it to Jennerstown, the race will be live on Racing America, just like every race this season.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one for sure. Cody, have you been to Jennerstown? I know it's a new track for the series. Is it a new track for you?
Yep. My first trip to Jennerstown as well. And it's actually going to be my first time at a racetrack in the state of Pennsylvania. So not only do I get to cross off a new racetrack, I also get to cross off a new state where I've seen a race in.
Well, that's pretty cool. Two for the price of one. You get to go enjoy the 500 Sprint Car Tour, and you get to cross off a couple tracks and states on your list. Well, that's awesome. I'm a little jealous that you get to go to that one. Jennerstown is a facility that I've had my eyes on for years. I wish it would be on iRacing because I think it would put on some spectacular racing in the supers. But nonetheless, that's in a couple of weeks. We'll look forward to that. But 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series tonight at Oswego. We had quite a few cautions, and we'll hopefully have a better show next week at Bristol, but they're going to be flying around the half mile. So I'm sure we're going to have our fair dose of excitement there as well. But thank you guys for tuning in to the 500 Sprint Car Tour Sim Series. I'm your host, Winston Deal, alongside Cody Geyer with KG Media. Check out our Facebook pages. They're linked in the description below, and check out Mark News on Facebook, where you can find the 500 Sprint Car or 500 Sprint Cast on Wednesday nights. So thank you guys for watching one more time. We'll see you guys back right here tomorrow night for the Leave the Pack Street Stock Showdown at Myrtle Beach. And until then, check out the Facebook page that's linked in the description. We'll see you guys next time for your 500 Sprint Car Tours Sim Series right here on the WD Broadcasting Network. Everyone have a great night. Peace out.